Good afternoon. The Senate will come to order. The Secretary will call the roll.
Senator Brooks, Senator Buck, Senator Canizaro, Senator Dennis, Senator Doniate, Senator Dondero-Loop, Senator Gokachia, Senator Hammond, Senator Hansen, Senator Hardy, Senator Harris, Senator Kiekhaefer, Senator Lang, Senator Neal, Senator Orangehall, Senator Pickard, Senator Ratty, Senator Scheibel, Senator Sievers-Gansert, Senator Settlemyre, Senator Spearman.
Thank you. Let the record reflect there are 21 senators present. Please rise for the prayer and invocation by our very own Senator Pat Spearman.
Let us pray. Almighty and eternal God, we praise and thank you for the calling that you have given to our very own Senator David Parks and Congressman Mark Amodei to serve your people and our great state. We ask that you would continue to grant them and all of us the strength and courage to do that which is right, even when it is not popular. Give us your wisdom. Keep us sober by the enormity of the task to help and not be drunk with the opportunity to gain power and position for grandeur. Let us help the downtrodden. Let us help the meek. Let us help the least of these. We ask that your grace will continue to be with us, lead us, and guide us in all that we do, so that honor and glory would be yours forever and ever. It is in your matchless name that we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Order of business number 3, reading and approval of the journal. By previous order of the Senate, the reading of the journal is dispensed with, and the President and Secretary are authorized to make the necessary corrections and additions. Order of business number 4, reports of committee.
Madam President, your Committee on Finance, to which you refer to Senate Bills numbers 463, 471, 479, 481, has the same under consideration. Begs the report, same back to our recommendation do pass. Also, your Committee on Finance, to which was referred Senate Bill number 416, has had the same under consideration. Begs the report, same back to our recommendation amendment do pass as amended. Also, your Committee on Finance, to which were referred Senate Bills numbers 96, 274, 347, 366, 420, has had the same under consideration and begs the report, same back to the recommendation amendment do pass as amended. Signed, Senator Chris Brooks, Chair. End of reports.
Thank you. Order of business number 6, messages from the Assembly.
Assembly Chamber, Carson City, May 21st, 2021. To the Honorable Senate, I have the honor to inform your Honorable Body the Assembly on this day passed a multitude of Senate bills, as well as passed as amended Senate Bills numbers 357, 457, 480, and also the Assembly amended and on this day passed as amended a plethora of Senate bills, all of which are listed on your agenda for this day. Signed, Carol Ayala Sala, Assistant Chief Clerk of the Assembly. End of messages.
Thank you. Order of business number 9, motions, resolutions, and notices.
Senate Resolution Number 5, introduced by Senator Canizaro and Senator Settlemyre et al., inducting David R. Parks into the Senate Hall of Fame. Whereas the Senate of the Legislature of the State of Nevada has established a Senate Hall of Fame whose members are selected by leadership from those past senators who have served with distinction and who have made exemplary contributions to the state of Nevada. And whereas David R. Parks was born in Boston, Massachusetts in 1943, raised in New Hampshire, and graduated from the University of New Hampshire in 1967. And whereas, after graduating from college, David enlisted in the United States Air Force and found himself headed west to Nellis Air Force Base in southern Nevada, where he served until 1971. And whereas David earned his MBA from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and began his 26-year tour of duty in local government, developing expertise in finance and planning, and working for the City of Las Vegas, the Clark County Manager's Office, and the Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada. And whereas David was elected to the Assembly in 1996 and served continuously until he was elected to the Senate in 2008. And whereas David was appointed as chair of numerous committees and to leadership positions in both houses, and served in 16 special sessions and on more than 50 interim legislative committees and studies. And whereas Senator Parks is remembered for his extensive knowledge of government finance and served a combined 18 years on the Interim Finance Committee and the Assembly Committee on Ways and Means and the Senate Committee on Finance, and whereas Senator Parks is also remembered for the breadth of his interests and causes, as well as his persistence, quiet dignity, and ability to forge bipartisan consensus, and whereas as a longtime advocate for the LGBTQ community and other vulnerable populations, Senator Parks successfully enacted measures concerning bullying in schools, HIV and AIDS, the decriminalization of hypodermic needles, discrimination based on sexual orientation, and the authorization of domestic partnerships in Nevada. And whereas Senator Parks also worked tirelessly on legislation to allow death with dignity, to help veterans, the homeless, and wildlife, and to fund and promote the arts, now therefore be it resolved by the Senate of the State of Nevada that David R. Parks, having dedicated over 50 years of his life to service of the people of the State of Nevada in local government through membership in community organizations and through his service in the Assembly and the Senate, is hereby inducted into the Senate Hall of Fame of the Legislature of the State of Nevada, and be it further resolved that this resolution becomes effective upon adoption. End of resolution.
Thank you. Senator Cannizzaro.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to adopt Senate Resolution number 5.
Thank you. You have heard the motion. Are there any remarks? Senator Cannizzaro.
Thank you, Madam President. It is truly a privilege and an honor to say a few words about Senator David Parks, who is not only a friend to many of us, but also whose absence was truly felt this legislative session. As you know, the Senate Hall of Fame was established to honor former members of the Senate who served with great distinction and performed exceptional service for the people of the state of Nevada. It is my pleasure to support the induction of Senator David Parks into this very select group. Senator Parks was elected to the Nevada Assembly in 1996 and to the Senate in 2008. His tenure spanned 24 years. He was chosen by his colleagues for several leadership positions in both the Assembly and the Senate, and frankly, too many chairmanships to really recount. Born in the Northeast, he enlisted in the United States Air Force during the early years of the Vietnam War and found himself posted to faraway Nellis Air Force Base. He tells of the minus 14-degree temperature the night before he left for Nevada and deciding after his military service ended that he liked the hot weather. Turns out, New Hampshire's loss was absolutely our gain. He honed his budget and finance skills with the city of Las Vegas, Clark County, and the RTC before being convinced to run for an assembly seat. One session, he said, but he stayed to serve 11 more regular sessions, 16 special sessions, and on over 50 interim committees. Senator Parks was a passionate advocate for causes that addressed years of discrimination against the LGBTQ community and successfully sponsored legislation for domestic partnerships and banning conversion therapy. In addition to his many bills addressing local government finance matters, he also worked tirelessly to help the homeless, veterans, and the incarcerated population. He volunteered session after session to mentor interns from Nevada's universities and invited them to sit in on all his meetings, including sitting at the empty desk next to him during the floor sessions. He made a real, practical, and immediate difference in the lives of many Nevadans. Protecting Nevada's fragile environment was also near and dear to his heart, and always one to walk the walk. He adopted desert tortoises and turned over his backyard to them. We all remember him for his sense of fairness, decency, compassion, persistence, and adherence to his fundamental principles, and of course, his dry sense of humor and welcoming smile. In conclusion, Senator David Parks is one of those very rare legislators who rose above partisanship and mastered the art of leading by example. I am so very honored to support this resolution for the induction of our distinguished former colleague, David R. Parks, into the Senate Hall of Fame. And Madam President, if you and those in the body were also not aware, one of my most favorite things about Senator Parks is that it is almost unfathomable that when you are discussing any piece of policy, that while the rest of us have taken plenty of time to go back and forth asking questions and trying to affirm our arguments on our side, that as Senator Parks sat and watched, he would inevitably chime in with not only the wisest solution, offer of advice, but also seemed to know the answer to just about everything that we could have ever imagined. And we desperately miss him here in the Senate. But it is truly my honor to have such a wonderful individual, not only on a personal level, but also as a colleague here in the Senate, to be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Thank you. Further remarks, Senator Settlemyre.
Thank you, Madam President. I greatly appreciate the opportunity to say hello again and also to thank a great colleague, Senator Parks, for everything that he did. I remember when I first came in the Assembly, there were some individuals from the majority party over there that weren't quite as welcoming as others, to say the least. Matter of fact, we don't want to talk to you. That was not Senator Parks. He was always willing to talk to freshmen that came in, even from the other party, share wisdom, talk, and actually work in a bipartisan way on issues. We could go to him and say, hey, this bill really causes a problem for these certain areas. And is there any way we could work on the amendment? And sometimes they wouldn't necessarily listen to us, but they would always listen to Senator Parks and try to address those concerns. And I'm very grateful for him for what he's done, not just for his area, but for the entire state of Nevada by doing that, by being open to those type of discussions. And his knowledge is, whether it was fiscal responsibility on the monetary committees, or government affairs, we sat on with Merlin Kirkpatrick, natural resources, those type of issues. Thank you. You've truly made this a better state. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Settlemyre. Senator Spearman.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to say that I can't say enough about my friend, Senator David Parks. As a brand new neophyte, he took me under his wings and shared a lot of wisdom that I will never forget. And he has some big shoes to fill. I'm not sure that I or anyone else can do it, but I'm thankful. And every time you look at any piece of equality that has been pushed or passed in the state of Nevada, and so many pieces of those legislations have been copied by other states, that just shows you the grace and the greatness of Senator Parks. So, David, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Spearman. Senator Orenshaw.
Thank you very much, President. I rise in support of Senate Resolution 5, and it's so wonderful to see my friend and someone I consider a mentor here in the chamber. I think that Senator Parks really makes the case for an amendment to the Constitution to repeal term limits, because I don't know if he would want to continue running, but I know that many of us would want to see him continue serving. When I was first elected to the Assembly, he was chair of the Assembly Committee on Corrections, Parole, and Probation, and he was so wonderful to me to help me with my bills and kind of help explain to me, why some of my bills would succeed and some of my bills, many more of my bills might fail, and kind of explaining to me all the inner mechanics of the bills, even if they were good ideas or not. And he would always champion my ideas, whether they were great ideas or maybe not so great ideas, and he would always try to help me. There was back when Senator Parks and I were serving in the Assembly, there was a bill to reform the Pardons Board, amend the Constitution, and we thought it was a great idea. The Advisory Commission on the Administration of Justice thought it was a tremendous idea, and it passed the Assembly, it passed the Senate, and lo and behold, the next session, never got a hearing, never got a peep. And one day I sat down with Senator Parks and I just like, do you know what happened? You kind of wonder what's going on. That was such a great idea. Everybody loved it. It passed unanimously. And then it never got brought up for a hearing the next session. And, we never really got a good answer as to what happened. But down the line, when I asked him to try that idea again, he said, sure, James, let's give it a try. And it passed, and it passed 2 sessions in a row, and the voters approved it, and major reform happened to the Pardons Board. Tenacity. You had such tremendous tenacity. So many people and groups wanted to unelect you and take you out of office. We have new election law in Nevada, thanks to Senator Parks, because there was one year he ran, and all the different folks who wanted to unseat him found a candidate named David Parks to run against him. And I don't think this had ever happened in Nevada history, and there wasn't really anything in the NRS or the NAC to deal with a candidate with the exact same name. So after he defeated the other David Parks, who wasn't the real David Parks, we had to look at Nevada election law as to how you deal with something like this. He had keen understanding of veterans issues, being a veteran, serving the Assembly and the Senate, and the tremendous work he's done on issues of equality for the LGBTQ community. I certainly remember my first session in the Assembly in 2007 when there was one bill that stands out to me, which was to prevent housing discrimination for the LGBTQ community, which, as I recall, didn't pass, and some of my fellow members of my caucus didn't support it. So things have come a long way because of your work in terms of our law and people's viewpoints on things. So I heartily support this and urge its passage, and very, very well deserved.
Thank you, Senator Orangel. Senator Harris.
Thank you, Madam President. I grew up here in Nevada. I started high school in 99, 2000, don't do the math. And at the time, I was fairly naive, as most high school students are, and thought that being gay was just okay here in Nevada. I thought that just by fortune, I grew up in a state that happened to be a bit more progressive, and thank goodness this wasn't, I won't point out any other states, but I'm sure you can insert there. I had a gay-straight alliance where I went to school, and for being the early 2000s, it was a fairly accepting childhood. It wasn't until that I came here to the Nevada State Senate that I knew that that was not by chance. That acceptance was due to the hard work, almost single-handedly, of one man who laid the groundwork for someone like me who he had never even conceived of to have what was essentially a normal childhood. So I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to have served with Senator Parks, and I've had the chance to thank him in person for what is a very real impact on my life and on the lives of countless other Nevadans. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Senator Harris. Senator Scheibel.
Thank you, Madam President. I don't think words can really reach the depth of my gratitude to Senator Parks, my admiration for him, and my respect. And I had a really interesting experience right before I came to session this year when I was talking to a young group of LGBTQ advocates, and I think they've had experiences much like my colleague from District 11. And I got to tell them about the history of Nevada and how, in my mind, there is the pre-David Parks era and the David Parks era, and now we live in the legislative post-David Parks era. We have been very, very lucky to have a tremendous champion in my colleague from Senate District 1 to usher us through that incredibly difficult transition. Because when my colleague from District 11 and I got here, David Parks was still a member of this Senate, and he helped us, he guided us, and right by his side was our colleague from Senate District 1. And so to serve with both of them has been such a deep honor and privilege. And I truly have felt sad that David Parks had to move on due to that silly Nevada constitutional provision that limits the terms in the Nevada State Senate, because the amazing work that he has done to advocate for LGBTQ people, for veterans, for people in need, for people experiencing homelessness, for people experiencing health issues, for access to education, for access to our public lands. He has truly been the type of legislator and the type of public servant that all of us can and should, and I think all do, look up to. And so I guess I'm just honored that even for one session I got to serve in the David Parks era of the legislature, and I carry with me a very heavy but welcome burden to try to at least measure up to half of what he has accomplished in the post-David Parks era.
Thank you, Senator Scheibel. Senator Dennis.
Thank you, Madam President. I had the privilege of, when I came in 2005 to the Assembly, to serve with David over in the Assembly. And, you know, as I sit here thinking about all the great work that he's done, you know, while he's a great hero in the LGBTQ community, he's a great hero to Nevada. If you actually looked at the work that he's done in this building, you know, I used to think we were limited on how many bills you could do in a session. But if you actually looked at the stuff that he had his fingers in, and just in one session, he probably had 30 or 40 bills that he was working on, and we don't even get that many bills. And somehow he figured out a way to work on that many bills. And the true things that he has done in this building, we probably won't even really know for years to come, because many of the things were laying foundations that'll come in the future. And I'm just grateful to have had, to have a friend in David Parks, to be able to have worked with him, and to the example that he set, and the quiet manner that he goes about doing things is something that we can all learn from here in this building. And so I appreciate the opportunity to be able to celebrate David and the work that he's done in this building today, and I definitely rise in support of SR 5. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Dennis. Senator Hardy.
Thank you, Madam President. I think if I were to typify my friend David Parks, it would be the word graciousness. Obviously, he's competent, capable, and all of those good words. I first got the opportunity to have him as my chair in government affairs in the Assembly. And there's this, you know, he's obviously good at special populations, but one of the special populations he's good with is Republicans. And me in particular. And I was blessed, I guess, to be able to sit right back here in the Senate next to David Parks. And it was a special time, and I appreciate the man that has been so special to so many people, even me. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Senator Hardy. Senator Ratty.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. I too rise in support and just have to take a minute to say how grateful I am for the experience of serving with Senator Parks. And while he is a champion for many, I do also want to say and just put a flag in for all of the work that he's done for local government. There just aren't many folks who make it into the legislature who have served in local government or worked in local government and truly understand the way that local government works, and then therefore the role of the legislature in making local government work better. And we shared that particular interest and passion. And I am so grateful for having had the opportunity to serve on the Public Lands Committee with Senator Parks, which should be called the Road Trip Committee. I think we should consider renaming it, which means the hours and hours in a vehicle, getting to hear the stories about every place that we drove by, because Senator Parks takes the time to learn and understand and know, and was deeply involved with many of the big decisions that were made in our state about many of these important places. And so those road trips were a treat that I look back on fondly, and certainly helped me to evolve as a legislator, to be a better legislator because of hearing his stories. And also just want to say that many of the courageous stands that Senator Parks took, right now it may not seem like it, but at the time he paid a price. And he doesn't talk about that very often, but those were not courageous stands that were easy to take. Those were stands that at the end of the day he paid for personally, and still did willingly to benefit so many folks who are sitting here today that came behind him. And so graciousness, yes, and courage sometimes at great personal cost. So I am, again, grateful to Senator Parks for the wisdom, the graciousness, and the courage, and for understanding local government.
Thank you, Senator Ratty. Senator Lang.
Senator Parks, while I haven't had the opportunity to serve with you in the legislature, we had lots of opportunity to serve together when I was chair of the state party. And I know in my leadership role, I was always able to call you, and you were always willing to help out. And I appreciated that so much. And I will never forget the day you called me and you said, I think you should run for the Senate and take my place. And listening to everyone today, I'm so honored that you thought that I could fill your shoes, because those are pretty big shoes to fill. And I appreciate everything you did. And, I love being here, and thank you for thinking that I was the person that could do that.
Thank you, Senator Lang. Senator Gokachia.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll be brief as always, but I do have to say, after serving 3 sessions in the Assembly with Senator Parks, and he always will be Senator Parks to me, and 4 sessions in this body, I came out of local government, and I really thought I knew something about local government. But my first session in government affairs, I quickly realized, you don't know nothing, son. So, and the other piece of it, I guess and I told David this, I was truly going to miss him when he decided turned out and couldn't come back, because we could actually sit down and look at a bill and have a discussion. And I think if there's one thing you have to say about David Parks, he cared about Nevada. He might have been born in Boston, but he cares as much about Nevada as any of us native Nevadans. I thank you, sir.
Thank you, Senator Gokachia. Senator Dondero-Loop.
Thank you, Madam President. I first heard of or met Senator Parks when he worked with my mother at the county. And she would come home with Senator Parks stories, because they too shared the love of the parks and the lands and the government in Nevada. Then I showed up in the Senate, and now I'm taking his place in government affairs, and those are huge shoes to fill. But I would just say that David's, Senator Parks' friendship goes beyond the institution, but his institutional knowledge is unbelievable and goes beyond all the years of friendship that we've had. So thank you, Senator Parks. Thank you for all you've done, and I continue to hope that I can rely on you when I text you and say, what about this, or what happened with that, and we'll continue this friendship. So thank you very much, and congratulations, so well deserved.
Thank you, Senator Dondero-Loop. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senator Canizaro.
Thank you, Madam President. I request that Senator Parks be given the privilege of the floor to make remarks.
So ordered. Senator Parks.
There we go. Okay. Thank you. Madam President, Madam Majority Leader, and Madam Assistant Majority Leader, Madam. Where else can that be said, but only in Nevada? Thank you. I'm deeply humbled to be here today to receive this momentous recognition. Not bad for someone who said, it's not on my radar when approached to run for the Assembly back in 1996. While being in the legislature is hard work, it would be immensely harder if it were not for the incredibly talented LCB staff that works year-round and day and night during the session to make legislators look good. Words alone cannot convey the gratitude I have for the many LCB staff members who made me look good for the last 24 years. One person in particular is Julie Newman, who served as my legislative assistant for 5 sessions. I'd be remiss if I didn't also thank all the fair-minded legislators who helped me with my challenging legislation. I would also like to congratulate my colleague, former Senator Mark Amodei. We came into the legislature at the same time in 1997. It seems that he's gone on to much greater things. Congratulations, Mark. I'd also like to recognize my sister and brother and their families who are watching, viewing this tribute over the internet from back in New England. With me today is my partner, Henry. Thank you for putting up with my legislative lunacy. And I first came to Carson City to testify on proposed legislation as a City of Las Vegas employee back in 1975. That was 46 years ago. I have been in this building for every legislative session since. In closing, I appreciate the remarks everyone has made today. Thank you for this very touching tribute.
Thank you to the very real, the very gracious, the very courageous, with a bit of a shoe size problem, Senator David Parks.
Senate Resolution Number 6, introduced by Senator Canizaro and Senator Settlemyre et al., inducting Mark Amodei into the Senate Hall of Fame. Whereas the Senate of the Legislature of the State of Nevada has established a Senate Hall of Fame whose members are selected by leadership from those past senators who have served with distinction and who have made exemplary contributions to the state of Nevada. And whereas Mark Eugene Amodei was born in Carson City, where he graduated from Carson High School, received his Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of Nevada, Reno, and his Juris Doctor from the McGeorge School of Law at the University of the Pacific. And whereas Mark served as a captain in the United States Army, Judge Advocate General's Corps, where he received the Army Commendation Medal and the Meritorious Service Medal. And whereas in 1996, Mark was elected to the Nevada Assembly, and in 1998, he was elected to the Nevada Senate, serving 2 years in the Assembly and 12 years in the Senate. And whereas during his tenure in the Senate, Senator Amodei served in leadership positions as Assistant Majority Whip, as the Senate's President pro tempore, during 3 regular sessions and 6 special sessions, and as chair of the Senate Committee on Judiciary. And whereas during his 14 years as a legislator, one of Mark's primary concerns was his stewardship of Nevada's natural resources, especially oversight policies regarding Lake Tahoe and the Tahoe Basin. And whereas in 2007, as President pro tempore, he served a 5-hour stint as acting governor of Nevada due to the rare circumstance when Nevada's governor and lieutenant governor were both absent from the state. And whereas Senator Amodei was known for working across the aisle with fellow legislators on a variety of issues, and whereas after completing his legislative service in 2010, Mark was elected to the United States House of Representatives, where he continues to serve. And whereas Mark considers the births of his daughters, Ryan and Aaron, to be the most important events of his life, now therefore be it resolved by the Senate of the State of Nevada that for his many years of devoted service to the people of the State of Nevada as a member of both the Nevada Senate and Assembly, and his continuing service as a member of the House of Representatives for Nevada's 2nd Congressional District, Mark Eugene Amodei is hereby inducted into the Senate Hall of Fame of the Legislature of the State of Nevada, and be it further resolved that this resolution becomes effective upon adoption. End of resolution.
Thank you. Senator Settlemyre.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to adopt Senate Resolution Number 6.
Thank you. You have heard the motion. Are there any remarks? Senator Settlemyre.
Thank you, Madam President. With me on the floor today, I have a good friend of mine and former legislative colleague, Mark Eugene Amodei. I'm going to pay for that later. Who now represents Nevada's 2nd Congressional District in the United States House of Representatives. It's my privilege to support this resolution, inducting him into the Senate Hall of Fame. When I first came to this building in 2006, Senator Amodei, of course, had already been serving in the Senate for 2 terms. He was a great assistance to helping me not only get into trouble, but also learn how to get out of trouble. It was a great opportunity to come down when I was in the Assembly and a little stressed by the Assembly, which none of us have ever been stressed by the Assembly in any way, shape, or form, whether you serve there or not. I had the fortune to come down and talk with him and Senator Sagaski and get some words of wisdom, guidance, sanity, and sometimes got in trouble too. With that, though, he did help show me the ropes, and I appreciated that very much. I had the good fortune of serving 4 years with him while I was in the Assembly and he was in the Senate. Senator Amodei is a native Nevadan, to say the least. Born and raised, grew up here in Carson City. Still go over to his house on occasion, sometimes to play pranks. I actually did find one time one of his very first signs when he ran for the legislature in a house that was moving. In that respect, we went and put it on his lawn. So it's good to actually know where he lives, but I won't go ahead and publicize that. Graduated high school here in 1975, had a state champion basketball team that he actually played quite a few years on the joint games that this building had put together between the donkeys and elephants. Got his Bachelor of Arts degree from UNR, went on to obtain his law degree from McGeorge School of Law, University of Pacific. Prior to his legislative service, though, Senator Amodei served as captain in the United States Army as part of the Judge Advocate General's Corps, where he received the Army Commendation Medal for his meritorious service medal. And in that respect, it was always interesting when we'd be over in Fallon's. Sometimes there would be a slight rub between the Navy and the Army when he went over there, but it's helped him with the information and knowledge to help represent this congressional district in that respect, representing the base. Many of you may not be aware that Congressman Mark Eugene Amodei began his legislative career in his early 20s, serving as a legislative intern during the 1979 legislative session. 17 years later, in 96, he was elected to the Assembly. He served 14 years in the legislature, 1 term in the Assembly, 3 terms here in the Senate. Always a fan of 3-day weekends. As a freshman, Amodei authorized a bill that put an advisory question on the state ballot to designate Nevada Day as a state holiday, to be observed on the last Friday in October. After the voters approved the change, he actually was one who authorized the bill in 1999 legislative session that officially changed the observance, thus creating the 3-day weekend. And luckily that bill died this session that tried to go backwards. During his tenure in the Senate, Congressman Amodei served in leadership positions, including Assistant Majority Whip in the 99 and 2001 regular session. He also served as Senate's pro tempore during 3 regular sessions and 6 special sessions. As the resolution points out, he even served as Nevada's acting governor for a very brief time in 2007 when the governor and lieutenant governor were out of the state, and we still survived. He also served as a member of many standing committees and interim studies. He was chair of the Senate Committee on Judiciary during the 2003, 2005, and 2007 sessions. During his time here in the legislature, one of his chief concerns was the protection of Nevada's natural resources, especially in regards to our state water resources and overall wildlife prevention and mitigation efforts. He also was particularly concerned with fire issues, helping serve for the Lake Tahoe Basin, working on the interim committee and working to protect its pristine beauty at the lake. As part of that effort, he reached out to legislative counterparts in California in an effort to improve the working relationship between the Nevada and California legislatures on joint oversight policies regarding the Lake Tahoe and Tahoe Basin. During that process in the last interim, I was fortunate to serve with him on that committee, the Legislative Oversight Committee for Lake Tahoe. He made sure to introduce me to key agency people in California legislature, and I appreciated that courtesy. I found some interesting stories from him where he got the Nevada delegation and went down to California. Unfortunately, they weren't happy I know you're shocked, he didn't completely follow protocol, so they didn't want to let him in the building. But in that respect, John Lee, we did the same thing, went down there, and they kind of did the same thing to John Lee. You didn't follow protocol, so we don't necessarily want to talk to you. Kind of scary. But through that, we learned the concept of reaching out to California and try to work together on the issues to protect that lake, and I thank him for that. As you know, he completed his legislative service here in 2010. Senator Amodei was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, where he remains today, serving as a representative of Nevada's Congressional District Number 2. So today I'm delighted to support the resolution from one of our most prominent, successful state legislators as he is introduced into the Hall of Fame, Senator and current Congressman Mark Eugene Amodei.
Thank you, Senator Settlemyre. Senator Cannizzaro.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise in support of Senate Resolution number 6 and want to congratulate Congressman Amodei for his induction today. Certainly, it is not an easy job to serve in the legislature session after session and to continue to do the work of Nevada and to make sure that Nevada is a place that we all want to live, work, and raise a family. But as a fellow native Nevadan, I always am thankful for folks who do step into that role because I do think it is important. And I think I would be remiss if I also didn't point out how much we also always love having Congressman Amodei come and address the legislature in joint session for not only his wit and his wisdom, but his brevity in that as well. And so it is always a pleasure to have you here, Congressman, and certainly lovely to have you here in the Senate today. And just wanted to say congratulations and express my support.
Thank you, Senator Cannizzaro. Senator Dennis.
Thank you, Madam President. As a freshman over in the Assembly, the one thing that we learned as freshmen coming in is that the senators didn't bother to learn your name because they didn't know if you were going to be back. But Mark was not one of those, and I always felt that he reached out and became a friend. And actually, as a freshman, we were actually neighbors. My backyard and his backyard I was in a house that had 5 legislators, and his house was over the wall, and so we weren't too far away. But I appreciate, the things that have been said, that talk about brevity. He was always the first one whenever he had the joint meetings, the first one out the door. He always sat in the back so he could get out quick. But I appreciated his desire. He truly does have a desire to help Nevada, and in the things that he did in his career here and what he does in D.C. I've had opportunity to visit him there and the work that he's doing. But Nevada's always number one for him, and as he's worked, and so I stand in support of SR 6 and appreciate all the work that you do, and have done, and are continuing to do for Nevada. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Dennis. Senator Orenthal.
Thank you, President. I rise in support of Senate Resolution 6, and I think it's a great, well-deserved honor for Congressman Amodei. I first met Congressman Amodei, I believe, during the 97 session when he was a freshman, and he sat next to my mother over in the Assembly, and that was a tough session for her and us. My grandmother, her mom, had passed away just right at the beginning of that session, and he was always very, very kind and wonderful to her, and a shoulder she could lean on during that very difficult time for her and our family. I remember being up there to visit her, and then Assemblyman Amodei had an old Journal of the State Assembly from, I think it was the 30s or 40s, but it had some quotes from, I think, a grandparent who had served in the legislature, I think, if I have that correct. So he carries on a long tradition of service here in the Nevada legislature. My friend, former State Senator Terry Kerr, wanted me to commend Congressman Amodei on this honor. He wanted me to mention that Congressman Amodei served as a uniform law commissioner for Nevada from 2004 to 2010. And State Senator Kerr wanted me to mention that Congressman Amodei and he, when he was in the State Senate, would kind of alternate as depending on who's the majority, as the chair of Senate Judiciary Committee, whether Terry Kerr was chair or Mark Amodei. And Senator Kerr told me that the two of them would meet, go over the bills. They were the only 2 attorneys on the committee at the time, one Democrat, one Republican, and they would just talk about the merits of the bill and try to work on forming really good policy on those bills. And he always remembers that as just really good, something he's, I think didn't see much in the legislature, of just 2 people looking at the merits of each bill from each party, the 2 attorneys on that committee, and trying to come up with good policy. Terry did mention a bottle rocket incident with Governor Gwynn's home, but he assured me that no local, county, state ordinances or laws were broken. So, but I do support the resolution, and very well-deserved, Congressman.
Thank you, Senator Orenthal. Senator Gokachia.
Thank you, Madam President, and Congressman Amodei. I just want to check and make sure he's still here. He has a habit of being very. That was a trait I always envied, how he managed to not be there. at the end. I don't care whether it was at a Lincoln Day dinner or he would stand up, do the Pledge of Allegiance, and look around, and man, he was a fan of him. But again, I served 4 sessions while I was in the Assembly, and Congressman Amodei was then Senator Amodei. We had a lot of good, frank discussions, but I'll tell you mostly with Congressman Amodei, he's been a good friend of mine. We spent as many hours leaning on a tractor tire and working on it as we have in this building or in Congress talking about political issues. And I have to say, just a good friend. And thanks, Mark, for what you do and what you've done for the state of Nevada. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Gokachia. Senator Severs-Gansert.
Thank you, Madam President. I, too, rise in support of Senate Resolution number 6. I've known Congressman Amodei since around 2004 when I started to serve in the Assembly. And as many have mentioned, he's well known for his sense of humor and his brevity and for working very hard on legislation. He's been extremely successful. He was extremely successful here, but also in Congress. So whether he was in the majority party or the minority party, he's been able to work across the aisle and get things done. And as someone who was working at the University of Nevada, Reno, he was able to help them substantially as a member of the minority party because of the way that he can work with people and talk to people. He's well known for his humbleness and his self-deprecating humor, and he has been known to shoot off firecrackers every now and then. And also, he's also known for his style. And so I know I've gone to some constituent meetings with him where he's been in a neon jacket just in case NDOT needed some help along the way, or maybe a pair of shorts if it was hot out. So he's one of those people that his constituents identify with and feel a closeness to him because he is so humble and so friendly and always willing to work hard on any issue. So I, again, appreciate your service and support Senate Resolution number 6.
Thank you, Senator Severs-Gansert. Senator Kiefer.
Thank you, Madam President. I, too, rise in support of Senate Resolution 6. And I think now is probably about the time that the Congressman's happy that term limits exist because all of the people he served with who know all the really good stories aren't here to tell them. But I'll say this. I have the honor of representing Carson City in this body. And when I interact with a lot of my constituents here in Carson, I get that look like, well, okay, but you're no Mark Amodei, right? And there's something about being a local kid, right? Being the hometown boy. And I'll tell you this, Mark, your hometown is proud of you and they love you. And I think that's something that should mean a lot because it's true. Congratulations.
Thank you, Senator Kiefer. Senator Hardy.
Thank you, Madam President. I would typify Mark as being bright, quick, to the point, vast respect for creative protocol. There may be nuances there. Never dull. And I respect the uncommon, common man who is approachable in the grocery store. Thank you, Mark, for all you do.
Thank you, Senator Hardy. Senator Roddy.
Thank you, President. I think as the only member of my particular party who actually lives in Nevada's congressional district number 2, I thought that perhaps I should say just a few words. Having grown up in Sparks and worked professionally in the Reno-Sparks area, one of the things that happens in our world is having to go to WIN breakfasts and Rotary meetings and chamber meetings and Kiwanis and you name it. And I can't tell you how many times I have heard the good congressman speak. And what I'm grateful for, as many have focused on, is the humor, always humor, the brevity, always brevity, and I think something that is very uncommon in our day and age, which is the lack of prepared talking points. You're going to hear what Congressman Amodei is thinking, and it is not going to be scripted by anyone else. You can tell. It's been very consistent for at least the 25 years that I've been listening to him. So I think that being unique in this day and age gets harder and harder. And I do appreciate that. And then just wanted to take a moment to note that both of our honorees today being veterans, I think that is also something that we're seeing less and less of. And so I just wanted to take a moment to thank you for your service and this service, because we all know it's a lift, and we appreciate you staying with it for the long haul. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Ratty. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senator Cannizzaro?
Thank you, Madam President. I request that Representative Amodei be given the privilege of the floor to make remarks.
Thank you. So ordered. Representative Amodei?
Thank you, Madam Majority Leader. Madam President, noticed that wasn't a unanimous decision about the floor, but I also took note of the fact that there was brevity mentioned several times, so I will endeavor not to disappoint any of you for mentioning that. First and foremost, I want to associate myself with the remarks of the previous speakers about my fellow class of 97 guy there, David Parks. I can make it a little bit shorter. Class act. It's humbling for me to be here for the same reason, the same day you are. Way to go. Stay hot, class of 97. Second of all, as a guy who grew up in Carson, this is kind of, I tend to try to be callous and unfeeling as much as possible. And my eyes are a little moist. I don't have a lump in my throat, but I guess that's when you get older, you kind of get emotional about things. So I will just tell you this, as a guy who grew up in Carson, it's kind of a neat thing when you grow up in the capital of the state with the legislature coming and going all those years and stuff like that for something like this. And so I'm reading through the list of some of the people that have gone before. And there were some folks who mentioned when I got here today, like, wow, you're here for that? And I'm going, yeah, I think, because it was COVID and stuff like that, perhaps at least on the Republican side, the qualifications were lowered a little bit, and I want to thank you all for that. And other than that, I know that the hour's late. You're late in the session. I can recall when I was sitting where you folks were that it was like, oh, we got to do that thing today, geez, and the old people come and they talk forever. David Parks didn't talk for very long, and neither will I. But thank you all very much. It's phenomenally humbling, and I'm going to go try to collect my emotions. I appreciate it. Your courtesies in that are noted. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you to a representative of wit, of wisdom, of that rare talent of a legislator, brevity, and to a Carson boy done good. Thank you, Representative Mark Amodei.
And that concludes order of business number 9 at this time.
Thank you. Order of business number 16, introduction of guests. Senator Cannizzaro?
Thank you, Madam President. I am pleased today to have with me two guests. I have with me Henry Cuevas, who is not only a good friend, but also here with his partner, Senator Parks, and I am also, of course, pleased and truly honored to have the illustrious Senator David Parks here with me on the floor today. If you could all please make them feel very welcome.
Senator Settlemyre?
Thank you. Obviously, I have the pleasure of reintroducing Congressman Amodei, who needs no introduction, is already looking for the back door, and also his guest, Melissa, and I can't remember how to pronounce her, Meredith. Have the pleasure. Could you please make them feel welcome?
All right. Further introductions? All right. Senator Cannizzaro?
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate stand in recess until the call of the chair.
Thank you. You have heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senate's in recess. The Senate will come to order. We are on the first agenda. We are on order of business 8, waivers and exemptions.
A waiver requested by Senator Canizaro for Assembly Bill number 67 to waive subsection 4 of Joint Standing Rule 14.3 has been granted effective May 21st, 2021. Nicole J. Canizaro, Senate Majority Leader. Jason Frierson, Speaker of the Assembly. End of waivers.
Thank you. Order of business number 9, motions, resolutions, and notices. Senator Lang. Did you want to move Senate Bill 291?
Thank you, Madam President. I move to take from Senate Bill 291 from the Secretary's desk and place on general file for the second agenda.
Thank you. You have heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying yay. No, we're not doing that. Oh, nay. Motion carries. I'm still here. Senator Settlemyre.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that Assembly Bill, under Order of Business 9, Senate Bill 454 be moved to the last general file of this last agenda today.
Thank you. You have heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying yay. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
And that concludes order of business number 9 on the first agenda.
Thank you. Order of business number 10, introduction, first reading, and reference.
Assembly Bill number 357 by Assemblyman Frierson revises the provisions relating to consumer protection and refer to government affairs. Assembly Bill 457 by Assembly Committee on Ways and Means makes an appropriation to the Division of Forestry of the State Department of Conservation and Natural Resources for deferred maintenance projects. Refer to Finance. Assembly Bill 480 by Assembly Committee on Ways and Means revises provisions governing legal services for indigent dependents. Refer to Judiciary. End of Assembly Bills.
Thank you. Senator Ratty.
Thank you, President. I make a motion to move Assembly Bill 357 and Assembly Bill 457 to the committees as listed.
Thank you. Senator Ratty has referred Assembly Bill 357 and Assembly Bill 457 to the committees as read and as available on your desk. Are there any objections to the referral? If not, so ordered. Senator Ratty.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to suspend Standing Rule 40 and re-refer AB 480 to the Committee on Finance.
Thank you. You have heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying yay. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
And that concludes order of business number 10 on the first agenda.
Thank you. Order of business 13, general file, third
Senate Bill
reading.
number 417, introduced by Senate Committee on Finance, makes appropriation to and authorizes expenditures of money by the Nevada Supreme Court for certain statewide technology systems for trial courts. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1 of Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
There are none. Section 3, this act becomes effective upon passage and approval. End of bill.
Thank you. Remarks from the floor. Senator Scheibel.
Thank you, Madam President. Senate Bill 417 makes general fund appropriations to and authorizes expenditures of money by the Nevada Supreme Court as follows: a general fund appropriation of $1,336,800 and authorized funds of $203,533 for the initial implementation of a statewide e-filing solution for local trial courts, and a general fund appropriation of $1,290,292 for the initial implementation of a statewide case management system in the trial courts.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none, the Secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the Secretary will close the roll. The vote on Senate Bill 417 is 21 in favor, 0 against. The bill, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Order of the Assembly.
Senate Bill number 445.
Yes, Senator Canizaro.
I would like to move Senate Bill 445 from its place on general file and place it on general file for our last agenda today.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. Does that go back to order business 9? Okay, thank you. You've heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying yay. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Continuing with Senate Bill number 453, introduced by Senate Committee on Finance, revises provisions relating to certain persons licensed or certified by the Division of Financial Institution of the Department of Business and Industry or the Consumer of Financial Institutions. People of the State of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1 of Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
There are none. Section 92, subsection 2, end of bill.
Thank you. Remarks from the floor. Senator Dennis? No? Brief recess at the call of the chair. All right, we are back in session. We are on the first agenda. We are on Order of Business 13. We are on Senate Bill 453. Are there any remarks from the floor? Senator Dennis.
Thank you, Madam President. Senate Bill 453 revises various statutory provisions regarding the issuance and renewal of licenses and certificates by the Commissioner of the Division of Financial Institutions to authorize licensure through the nationwide multi-state licensing system and registry. In addition, the bill authorizes the Commissioner to take any action regarding participation in the registry that is deemed necessary to carry out the Commissioner's respective duties, including but not limited to utilizing the registry to collect licensing fees, reports, and fingerprints for the purpose of conducting a background check. Bill also requires certain licensees who are required to submit certain annual reports to the Commissioner to submit such reports to the registry. Lastly, the Commissioner of Financial Institutions shall notify the Governor and the Director of the Legislative Council Bureau once the nationwide multi-state licensing system and registry has sufficient operations capabilities to allow the Commissioner to carry out necessary provisions. Senate Bill 453 is effective upon passage and approval for the purpose of adopting regulations and performing any other necessary preparatory administrative tasks, and on the date that the Governor and Director of the Legislative Council are notified, the nationwide multi-state licensing system is operational for all other purposes.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none, the Secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the Secretary will close the roll. The vote on Senate Bill 453 is 21 in favor, 0 against. The bill having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Order of the Assembly.
And that concludes Order of Business number 13 on the first agenda.
Thank you. Order of Business 16, remarks from the floor. You guys want to go straight to the second agenda? We're all good with that? Okay, let's go. Second agenda, Order of Business 4, reports of committee.
Madam President, your Committee on Finance, to which was referred Senate Bill number 424, has had the same under consideration. Begs of report, same back the recommendation do pass as amended. Signed, Senator Chris Brooks, Chair. End of reports.
Thank you. Order of Business number 9, motions, resolutions, and notices. Senator Kiefer.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to take Senate Bill 390 from the Secretary's desk and to place it on the general file.
390. All right, you have heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying yay. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senator Cannizzaro.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to take Senate Bills 96, 274, 347, and 366 from their place on general file and place them on general file for the last agenda for this legislative day.
Thank you. You have heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying yay. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
And that concludes Order of Business number 9.
Thank you. Order of Business number 12, second reading.
Senate Bill number 416, introduced by Senate Committee on Finance, makes appropriation to the Department of Taxation for the replacement of computer hardware, software, and printers. The people of the State of Nevada represented in the Senate Assembly do enact as follows. Section 1 of Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
I have amendment number 594 proposed by the Senate Committee on Finance.
Thank you. Anybody want to move to dispense with the reading of the amendment? Senator Cannizzaro?
Madam President, I would move to dispense with the reading of the amendment.
Thank you. If there are no objections, so ordered. Senator Cannizzaro.
Thank you, Madam President. I would move to adopt amendment number 594 to Senate Bills 416.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. Are there any remarks? Senator Cannizzaro.
Thank you, Madam President. Senate Amendment number 594 to Senate Bill 416 changes the name computer to information technology in the bill when discussing the replacement of information technology hardware. It also appropriates from the general fund to the Department of Taxation the sum of $259,743 for that replacement, and clarifies that the remaining balance of any appropriation shall revert to the state general fund on or before September 15th of 2023 if it is not otherwise allocated. And there's also an appropriation to the state general fund to the Department of Taxation for the sum of $40,032 for the replacement of printers, and similarly allows for the reversion of those funds if they are not spent in the manner designed by this bill.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Are there any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Thank you. Senate Bill 416 is ordered reprinted and engrossed into the general file.
Senate Bill number 463, introduced by Assembly Committee on Ways and Means, provides for reversion of certain money and makes supplemental appropriation to the State Department of Conservation and Natural Resources for an unanticipated shortfall in the Forest Fire Suppression Budget Account. The people of the State of Nevada, represented in the Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows, Section 1 of Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Thank you. Assembly Bill 463, ordered the general file.
Assembly Bill 471, introduced by Assembly Committee on Ways and Means, revises the provisions relating to system for reporting information relating to cancer and other neoplasms. The people of the State of Nevada, represented in the Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows, Section 1 of Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Thank you. Assembly Bill 471, ordered to the general file.
Assembly Bill 479, introduced by Assembly Committee on Ways and Means, revises provisions governing executive staff of the Public Employees Retirement System. The people of the State of Nevada, represented in the Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows, Section 1 of Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Thank you. Assembly Bill 479, ordered to the general file.
Assembly Bill 481, introduced by Assembly Committee on Ways and Means, requires a division of Child and Family Services of the Department of Health and Human Services to designate a statewide center to provide assistance to certain victims. The people of the State of Nevada, represented in the Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows, Section 1 of Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Thank you. Assembly Bill 481, ordered to the general file.
And that concludes order of business number 12 on the second agenda.
Thank you. Order business 13, general file, third reading.
Senate Bills 96, 274, 347, and 366 have been placed on the general file for the last agenda. Senate Bill number 420, introduced by Senators Canizaro, et cetera, and Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson and Assemblyman Frierson, revises provisions relating to health insurance. The people of the State of Nevada, represented in the Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows, Section 1 of Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
I have amendment number 752, proposed by Senate Committee on Finance.
Thank you. Senator Canizaro.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to dispense with the reading of the amendment.
Thank you. If there are no objections, so ordered. Senator Canizaro.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to adopt Senate Amendment number 745 to Senate Bill 420.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. Are there any remarks? Senator Canizaro.
I apologize. I may have misspoke. I meant to say Senate Amendment number 752 to Senate Bill
Thank
420.
you. Amendment number 752 to Senate Bill 420. Any remarks?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Senate Amendment number 752 amends Senate Bill 420 as follows. It amends Section 10 to indicate that premiums for the public option must be at least 15% lower than the average reference market premium in the state over the first 4 years. It amends Section 11 to clarify certain provisions of federal law relating to eligibility to purchase plans in the exchange or receive premium tax credits shall not be waived in the application to obtain federal financial support for the public option. It amends Section 12 to clarify aspects of the statewide competitive bidding process to select an entity to administer the public option. It amends Sections 24, 27, 28, and 30 to specify that certain provisions relating to Medicaid, including expanding coverage for pregnant women, coverage for lactation consultation, reimbursement for services provided by an advanced practice registered nurse, and the establishment of statewide managed care programs, apply to the extent that money is available for those purposes. It deletes Section 31, eliminating provisions relating to the Department of Health and Human Services directly managing prescription drug payments and rebates for the Medicaid and checkup programs. It adds Sections 38.3 and 38.6 to appropriate general funds of $167,850 to the Division of Welfare and Supportive Services and $1,639,366 to the Public Option Trust Fund for costs associated with implementing the legislation, and amend Section 39 to require the actuarial study conducted prior to the application for certain waivers to obtain federal financial support for the public option. Consider the impact of the public option on health insurance premiums in this state.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Are there any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Thank you. Senate Bill 420, ready for final action.
Senate Bill 420, introduced by Senators Canizaro, et cetera, and Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson and Assemblyman Frierson, revises provisions relating to health insurance. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows: Section 1 through Section 41, subsection 5, end of bill.
Thank you. Remarks. Senator Canizaro.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise in support of Senate Bill 420, which requires the Director of the Department of Health and Human Services, in consultation with the Executive Director of the Silver State Health Insurance Exchange Program and the Commissioner of Insurance for the Department of Business and Industry, to design, establish, and operate a public health benefit plan known as the Public Option. Public Option must be available to all natural persons who reside in Nevada, both through the exchange and for direct purchase. It may also be made available to small employers or their employees. The public option must meet requirements established by federal and state law for individual health insurance or health insurance for small employers, and must meet certain coverage and premium limitation requirements. The Director of DHHS, Executive Director of the Exchange, and the Commissioner of Insurance must apply for certain waivers to obtain federal financial support of the public option following the completion of an actuarial assessment that considers the impact on health insurance premiums here in the state. The Director of DHHS must use a statewide competitive bidding process to solicit and enter into contracts with health carriers and other qualified entities to administer the public option, though the Director may administer it if necessary. Health carriers that provide health care services to Medicaid recipients through managed care must participate in the competitive bidding process. Health care providers and facilities who participate in Medicaid, the Public Employees Benefits Program, or the State Workers' Compensation Program must enroll as participating providers in at least one network of providers established for the public option. Further, the bill establishes a public option trust fund to hold certain funds for the purpose of implementing the public option. The Executive Director of the Exchange must apply for a federal waiver to authorize certain labor, agricultural, and horticultural organizations to offer a health insurance policy on the exchange to meet the unique needs of tradespeople that can serve as an alternative to the continuation of certain group health benefits. In addition, Senate Bill 420, as amended, makes various changes to expand Medicaid coverage to the extent money is available. Specifically, it requires the Director of DHHS to expand coverage under the state plan for Medicaid for pregnant women, Medicaid to cover breastfeeding supplies, certain prenatal screenings and tests, and lactation consultation and support, fee-for-service Medicaid to reimburse services provided by an advanced practice registered nurse to the same extent as if provided by a physician, and the department to establish statewide Medicaid managed care programs. Additionally, this bill, as amended, requires Medicaid to cover the services of certain community health workers and doulas. Senate Bill 420 appropriates general funds to support the public option and implement the provisions of the bill. And the provisions of this bill go into effect for the purposes of preparatory tasks on January 1st of 2026 for all, are effective upon passage and approval for the preparatory administrative tasks, and on January 1st, 2026 for all other purposes. Madam President, I am very pleased to be here to stand in support of Senate Bill 420. I think that this is a way for us to move forward in terms of providing affordable health care coverage for Nevadans. In the state of Nevada, we have a persistently higher uninsured rate here in the state of 11% that remains unchanged, despite being one of the states that actually did opt into expanded Medicaid coverage, and that has actually implemented provisions of the ACA through our Silver State Health Exchange. And while we've seen great progress in those regards, there's still a large chunk of Nevadans who remain uninsured and who are unable to afford insurance. And the public option is a way in which for us to, by a premium-based plan, have individuals get more affordable options to get coverage for their health insurance. It also ensures that there is an avenue for us to look into ways to keep people on insurance where they may not have enough hours to meet that and might otherwise risk getting kicked off their insurance or might lose their jobs and will want to have that continuity of care for their families. And then again, this also has provisions relating to care for pregnant and nursing mothers, which is so critical for the health of babies and moms throughout the state. And anything we can do to help with all three of those specific situations, I think, is something that we should undertake. And so I would urge my colleagues' support.
Thank you. Further remarks, Senator Danyate.
Thank you, Madam President. Over the past year, we have seen through this pandemic the consequences of the disinvestment in public health and the severe lack of infrastructure that our state needs to deliver adequate access to care. Too many times have we heard the stories of our friends and family members and those in our community not being able to receive the care that they need simply because of the barrier to enroll into a health insurance program. The public option will pave the way for a new Nevada, one that prioritizes the health for all families and individuals. What I love most about this bill is not just the positive impact that it will have on small businesses, owners, but also for the uninsured folks. But also this bill starts the conversation on moving our state towards value-based care. Fee-for-service has proven time and time again to be an outdated reimbursement system that has not delivered on the promise of high-quality care. And by moving towards value-based care, we are supporting a vision that has been outlined in the triple aim of healthcare. And that means to ensure that we are improving population outcomes, supporting the patient experience, and reducing the overall costs of care. Value-based care will reward providers based on patient outcomes as opposed to the amount of services that are delivered, and aligning ourselves towards patient outcomes and adopting value-based care will allow providers the chance to spend more time on prevention. Prevention, that's what's at stake right now, while also supporting chronic disease management at a personalized level. I think in reality, given this bill, the mission of our work in public health, or our duty, is to ensure that true health equity and liberation is achieved. And to do so, we have to push forward policies that will help ensure that everyone, regardless of their origin, employment status, or background, should have the ability to receive the care that they need and to live a long and fulfilling life. Passing the public option is a good first step in reaching that mission, and I urge my colleagues to support this bill.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none, the Secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the Secretary will close the roll. The vote on Senate Bill 420 is 12 in favor, 9 against. The bill having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Order the Assembly.
Senate Bill number 424, introduced by Senate Committee on Finance, creates Public Health Resource Office. People, State of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1 of Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
There are none. Section 3, subsection 3, end of bill.
Thank you. Remarks from the floor. Senator Ratty. No?
Thank you, Madam President. I appreciate the patience. So Senate Bill 424 is a good bill. The purpose of this bill is to create the Public Health Resource Office in the Office of the Governor. As you can imagine, at this time in the history of the state, public health has taken a front and center level of importance. And while we are making tremendous progress on the pandemic, our public health infrastructure has been stretched to the very thinnest of thin. And the purpose of this office is to make sure that we go through the rest of the pandemic and come out on the other side of the pandemic with our public health infrastructure in the very best possible state and the health of Nevadans foremost and top of mind for all of our leaders. There has also been an addition to this concept, which is to create a position in the Office of Minority Health to specifically focus on policy recommendations to address the disparate impact of this pandemic and other public health issues on communities of color. And that individual will specifically advise the Public Health Resource Office and officer with policy recommendations to address the disparate impacts. This bill also includes an appropriation of $176,079 for fiscal year 21-22 and $226,799 for fiscal year 22-23 to the Office of Minority Health, as well as $76,062 for fiscal year 21-22 and $98,511 for fiscal year 22-23 to the Office of Minority Health. And I apologize; those first numbers were to for the positions in the governor's office. So hopefully I haven't confused that last little bit, but it's a good bill, and I urge your support.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none, the secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the secretary will close the roll. The vote on Senate Bill 424 is 21 in favor, 0 against. The bill having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Order the assembly.
Senate Bill number 291, introduced by Senator Lang, provides for the licensure and regulation of advanced estheticians and instructors of advanced estheticians. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1 of Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
I have amendment number 735, proposed by Senator Lang.
Thank you. Senator Lang.
Thank you, Madam President. The amendment takes out section
Do you want
15.
to move to dispense with the reading of the amendment?
I move to dispense with the reading of the amendment.
Okay, if there are no objections, so ordered. Senator Lang.
Thank you. I move to adopt the amendment.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. Are there any remarks? Senator Lang.
Thank you. So in this amendment, we are going to delete section 15 of the bill, which is the medium depth chemical pills. And then we are also going to add language in section 39 to 41, which, just one second, which requires the holder of a license to operate a cosmetology establishment to display at each establishment he or she operates a sign indicating that the establishment is not a medical facility. An existing law prescribes grounds for disciplinary action against holders of these licenses issued by the board.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Are there any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Thank you. Senate Bill 291, ready for final action.
Senate Bill 291, introduced by Senator Lang, revises provisions relating to cosmetology. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1 of Section 1.
Thank you. Remarks? Senator Lang.
Thank you, Madam President. Senate Bill 291 as amended authorizes the State Board of Cosmetology to adopt regulations to provide for classifications of licensing as an esthetician. Section 1 of Senate Bill 291 requires any such regulations to establish 1, the qualifications of an issuance of a classification of license, 2, the qualifications for renewal of each classification of license, 3, the fees for issuance and renewal of each classification of license, and 4, the authorized scope of practice of each classification of license. Section 2 of Senate Bill 291 provides any regulations adopted pursuant to Section 1 must not become effective with respect to any person who is licensed as an esthetician on the date on which those regulations otherwise become effective until 6 months after that date. Senate Bill 291 is effective on October 1, 2021.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none, the secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the secretary will close the roll. The vote on Senate Bill 291 is 16 in favor, 5 against. The bill having received a 2/3 majority is declared passed. Order the assembly.
Senate Bill number 390, introduced by Senate Committee on Health and Human Services, revises provisions relating to behavioral health. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1 of Section 1.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the bill?
I have amendment number 692, proposed by Senator Kiefer.
Thank you. Senator Kiefer.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that we dispense with the reading of the amendment.
Thank you. If there are no objections, so ordered. Senator Kiefer.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that we adopt amendment number 692 to Senate Bill 390.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. Are there any remarks? Senator Kiefer.
Thank you, Madam President. This amendment does 3 key things. In Section 8, it inserts language to ensure that the Fund for Resilient Nevada will follow the State Budget Act. In Section 9.6, it strikes unnecessary language due to that previous change. And then in Section 11.5, it authorizes the Department to prepare and spend funds in the upcoming biennium with IFC approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Are there any further amendments to the bill?
There are none.
Thank you. Senate Bill 390, ready for final action.
Senate Bill 390, introduced by Senate Committee on Health and Human Services, revises provisions relating to behavioral health. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in the Senate Assembly, do enact as follows. Section 1 through Section 14, subsection 2, and to bill, this bill requires a 2/3 majority vote.
Thank you. Remarks? Senator Kiefer. No? Senator Ratty.
Thank you, Madam President, Senate Bill 390 makes various changes related to behavioral health. The bill requires the Division of Public and Behavioral Health of the Department of Health and Human Services to support the implementation of a hotline that may be accessed by dialing 988 for people considering suicide or otherwise in a behavioral health crisis. The division must establish at least one support center to answer and coordinate the response calls and to coordinate and deploy services necessary for those who use the hotline, including providing follow-up services. In addition, the division must establish or encourage the establishment of mobile crisis teams to respond to calls. The telecommunication providers are exempt from certain damages relating to the hotline. The bill also requires the State Board of Health within the department to adopt regulations to impose a surcharge on mobile communication services, IP-enabled voice services, and landline telephone services, which must be deposited into the crisis response account in the state general fund and administered by the division for specific purposes. The bill creates the Fund for a Resilient Nevada to hold the proceeds of certain litigation by the state concerning the manufacture, distribution, sale, and marketing of opioids, and to provide for the use of this money for statewide projects and distribution as grants to regional, local, and tribal governments and private sector organizations for projects that address the impacts of opioid use disorder and other substance use disorders. The bill also creates the Advisory Committee for Resilient Nevada, which must submit a biennial report of recommendations to the director of the department concerning the allocation and distribution of money from the fund. Finally, SB 390 requires the department to conduct a statewide needs assessment to determine priorities for allocating the money from the fund and, based on the needs assessment, develop a statewide plan for allocating the money. Regional, local, or tribal governmental entities that wish to apply for a grant from the fund must also conduct needs assessment and develop a plan for the expenditure of the money at the local level as well. The measure is effective upon passage and approval for purposes of adopting regulations and performing other administrative tasks, and on January 1, 2022 for all other purposes. I just want to pause for a minute. We've been doing a lot of really hard work on behavioral health crises, including both mental health crisis and addiction. And there have been some significant steps forward over the last year. One being establishing 988 at the national level so that as a nation, and now here in Nevada, we can start to really build out our crisis response system so that rather than using our emergency response system, which is a great system for emergencies, but isn't necessarily the right set of tools for a person who's experiencing a mental health crisis, that instead of rolling police, fire, ambulance, instead we can make sure that somebody is put in connection with a behavioral health professional, has their behavioral health crisis de-escalated, and receives wrap-up and follow-on services. So that's significantly important. At the same time, we're starting to see the benefits of the good work from Attorney General Ford to go after the folks who really were responsible for the opioid crisis. And we are starting to see some of those finances roll in the form of settlements, and we want to make sure that we are truly addressing the impact on Nevadans of the opioid epidemic. Both of those things are addressed in this bill, and I urge your support.
Thank you. Further remarks, Senator Hardy.
Thank you, Madam President. I was just looking through the bill, looking for that 35-cent cap. There's probably somewhere easy to find.
Senator Ratty.
Thank you, Madam President. I am digging through my papers, but if my colleague from Senate District 16 can point to it more quickly, feel free to chime in.
If I may,
Senator Hardy.
line 7, page 7. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none, the secretary will open the roll. All right, looks like everyone's voted. Does anyone wish to change his or her vote? All right, the secretary will close the roll. Oh, okay. All right, the secretary will close the roll. The vote on Senate Bill 390 is 19 in favor, 2 against. The bill having received a 2/3 majority is declared passed. Order of the Assembly.
And that concludes order of business number 13 on the second agenda.
Thank you. Order of
Madam
business.
President, may we get a brief 1-minute recess?
1-minute recess at the call of the chair. Thank you. All right, we are back from recess. We are on the second agenda. We are on order of business 14, unfinished business. Senator Scheibel.
Thank you, Madam President. I request to move Senate Bill 21 off of the unfinished business for this agenda.
Did you want to move it to? Oh, okay. All right, thank you. You've heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying yay. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senator Dennis. No.
Senate Bill number 102, introduced by Senator Hammond, revised the date by which children must be at least a certain age to be admitted to certain grades of school. The Assembly has amended this bill with amendment number 579. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Dennis.
I move that the Senate concur. Thank you, Madam President. I move the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment number 579 to Senate Bill 102.
Thank you. Senator Dennis has moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment number 579 to Senate Bill number 102. Are there any remarks? Remarks, Senator Dennis?
Press the wrong button. Yes, yeah, we agree. We agree with the change that was made over there. That was actually at our recommendation, so we agree with the amendment.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yay. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senate Bill is ordered enrolled and assemblies to be notified of our action.
Senate Bill 184, introduced by Senator Hardy, revises provisions relating to practice of medicine. The Assembly has amended this bill with amendment number 635. Does the Senate wish to concur or not concur in this matter?
Thank you. Senator Hardy.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment 635 to Senate Bill 184.
Thank you. Senator Hardy has moved that the Senate concur in Assembly Amendment number 635 to Senate Bill number 184. Are there any remarks?
This particular amendment deletes provisions authorizing the Board of Medical Examiners and the State Board of Osteopathic Medicine to issue a license to practice medicine or a license to practice osteopathic medicine, respectively, to certain persons.
Thank you. Further remarks? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yay. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senate bill is ordered enrolled and the Assembly to be notified of our action.
And that concludes our business number 14 on the second agenda.
Thank you. Order of Business 16, remarks from the floor. The following bills are ready to be immediately transmitted to the Assembly. Senate Bills number 417, 453, and 424. Once these bills have been transmitted to the Assembly, the Senate no longer has the ability to take any further action. Further remarks? How are we doing, guys? Senator Scheibel?
Thank you, Madam President. The Senate Judiciary Committee was scheduled to meet at 1 p.m. today. We are a little bit late. We will plan to meet at 3:30, so please be in the committee room by 3:30. Thank you.
Okay, Senate Judiciary, 3:30. Anybody else? All right, Senator Cannizzaro?
Thank you, Madam President. With that, I would move that the Senate stand in recess until the call of the chair.
All right, you have heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.